53I USA, 5-power state, 3 votes per person, tutored infant suffrage. USA 53I project of state. Summon a Constitutional Congress to create a state with 5 powers, 3 votes per person, and tutored infant suffrage amongst others. Leave behind the Constitution of 1787, dating from the Age of Enlightenment of Dualism, and inaugurate the era of PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy. Pressing matter. For a long time, there has been a growing evidence of the need to update the Constitution of 1787. The draft New Constitution 53I USA consists of a state with 5 powers, 3 votes per person, and tutored infant suffrage as explained below. Contrariwise, the constitutional means and the ends of justice pursued would be short-circuited. Underline, new wineskins for new wine for old ones only spoils it. The fact of the matter is that innovation requires a new way of thinking, and the new Constitution is no exception. No wonder young people like innovation. It makes perfect sense. The short answer is that out of the simplest comes out the greatest possible point of view, much like the point origin of a coordinate system in mathematical physics. Succinctly, this universal principle of knowledge can be sounded out as the, quote, one whole is made of triad parts, much like the Pythagorean theorem of the right triangle. Underline, Commonsense Uni-triadism. It would be fitting and proper from the start to include a brief but complete explanation of the passage from the simple to the complex of the real and imaginary. The innovation used above to define the 53I state is based on Kabbalah or tradition and on logos or logic, and we call it Kabbalogy or science of Kabbalah, as in biology, science of life. This PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy is neither mystic nor dualistic but uni-triadal. Pure Kabbalah is very mystic, pure reason is very dualistic. We need to synthesize them into PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy. That is, its definition is the one whole S is and becomes / triad parts DRP with imaginary D, mental R, real P. Briefly, uni S / triad DRP. It helps to read it from right to left as if chiseling on stone. Underline, Kabbalogy PaRaDiSe. Pardon my repetition for emphasis. The innovation of Kabbalogy is based on Kabbalah, or reception of the tradition of revelation of Moses, and on logos, or reception of the tradition of reason of Aristotle. Only PaRaDiSe thought, non-mystic Kabbalah and non-dualistic reason can integrate a broken world moving forward, namely Kabbalogy S / religion morality D, philosophy politics R, science technology P. Briefly, as theism S / humanism DRP. It is self-explanatory once one is focused and not distracted by fly droppings. Now to an application of the universal principle of knowledge. Underline, state of 5 powers. Namely, information is not a commodity. It is a human right in the age of information. Consequently, the news media will be the 4th power of the state. Likewise, knowledge is not a commodity. It is a human right in the age of knowledge. Consequently, the university will be the 5th power of the state. And given the judgment is based on information and knowledge, the 4th power media and 5th power university would choose the 3rd power judicial. Underline, cultural rights. From now onwards, in addition to individual and social rights, cultural rights to information and knowledge would be added to the roster. Underline, charges and duties. Now, since the news media and the universities are powers of the state, they would have roles to play in the administration. The care of the media, the role of the media would be overseer. Every population would have reliable news sources. The role of the university would be administration of the budget. Solely students and teachers of all educational levels, reporters and anchors would run for office and vote. From the old 1787 to the new Constitution. The state as source is people S / government DRP with fields of power, legislative D, judicial R, executive P. The Preamble to the United States Constitution establishes the people as sovereign, as in, quote, "We the people of the United States do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America," unquote. Article 1 of the Constitution establishes the legislative branch of government as the first power D. Article 2 establishes the executive branch of government as the second power P. Article 3 establishes the judicial branch of the people as the third power R. The Ninth Amendment of the Bill of Rights, corresponding to the Age of Information, contemplates the news media of the people as the fourth power of the state PR, as in, quote, "In the Constitution, certain rights are retained by the people," unquote. The 10th Amendment, corresponding to the Age of Knowledge, contemplates the University of the People as the fifth power of the state DR, as in, quote, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution are reserved to the people," unquote. Furthermore, given that the people entrusts its sovereignty to the judicial power R, this would in turn make the judicial RR. Underlying necessary and sufficient conditions. In our case of interest, the necessary condition for democracy is the three-power state, with the sufficient condition the five-power state. The necessary condition for democracy of the three-power state S consists of the legislative D, executive P, and judicial R powers. Sadly, it solely guarantees duocracy, but fortunately, the sufficient condition for democracy is the five-power state, consisting of legislative D, executive P powers, with a judicial R power further unfolding in modality judicial RR, as in the University DR, judicial RR, and media PR. Underlined, right to 3 votes per person. The universal principle of knowledge, Commonsense Uni-triadism, states that the one whole S is made of triad parts, PRD. In practice, this translates as one person S unfolds as triad of beliefs D, values R, interests P. Consequently, the citizen would have 3 votes per person instead of just 1. We refer the proof to science and mathematics to be convinced that 1 vote per person gives duocracy and that 3 votes per person gives democracy. Underline, tutored infant suffrage. By the same token, the human rights of the infant are safeguarded by its parents' tutorage. Women's suffrage isn't complete without infant suffrage. The civic formation of the infant begins with the family at a home from the very first cry at birth. Underline, reading. The above application of PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy is based on my book at Amazon titled, quote, "The Sweet Spot," under subtitle, "On the Obvious, All Revealing, Yet Hiding in Plain View," unquote. Quote, underline, we request a hearing. Based on the First Amendment, we exercise the right to petition the state for the above annotated redress of grievances. Underline, starting a movement. Leaders are wanted to overcome dualism and inaugurate the PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy Era. Yours truly, Ricardo Turullols-Bonilla.